have my Windows 10 machine with tools or Windows 11, Visual Studio is already installed. If you made your own machine, you'll have to go do this other project first, installing Visual Studio, which might take a while. It's a big download. I've already done it on this machine. So now...
It doesn't work with the Studio Code, Visual Studio Code?
It might, if you can, I don't know. I'm using real Visual Studio, but you might be right. So now, in order to use it, you have to open a special command prompt, which is annoying. You have to go here and get to all apps, which they like to hide somewhere. Oh, okay, in Windows 11. Then you have to get to the V's, Visual Studio, and you have to expand this category and find x86 native tools. This is going to make 32-bit code for the Intel processor on here. That's what we want to make. x86 native tools command prompt. And then you end up in a command prompt, but if you don't go through that weird menu, it won't work. The same thing is true of Kali. You have a command line tool, and yet you have to go through the GUI to get to the right command line tool for some reason. So now I make a directory to work in, because I don't want to work in this ridiculous location. Way down, I'm going to call it 99, and then go there. All right, and now I'm going to notepad 99.cpp. This is a C++ file. I'm going to make it in Notepad. I'm going to create a new file. Okay, and now I'm going to put in this code. I copy it, paste it in. All right, and save it. All right, and now I can compile it. So I go back to my command prompt. I do a dir, that file should be here. There it is. So I do cl to compile it, /ehsc or switches, the standard switches for some ridiculous reason. And there it's compiling. All right, and now I have 99.exe. And this prints 99 bottles of beer on the wall, 99 bottles of beer, and then it freezes, waiting for me to press enter. And that's the point is, I've now got a program that has created a running process. I can examine it with Process Explorer. So I launch Process Explorer, and all right, this will work. And you want to get used to this tool. So, as I said before, it shows you the processes in the order in which they launch. So you turn on the machine, the system starts, then it starts Windows initialization, then it starts all these services running in the background. And like I said before, here's the service host, and if you hover over it, it'll show you this is RPC, an endpoint mapper. Each one of these is running a bunch of background services, like display policy service, whatever that is. These are all the cryptographic services. These are all the background services that are launched before you even log in to make Windows run. So you scroll through all them. This is all kernel land. This is not user land. This is running before you've logged in, so it has to run with a high privilege account like system or something like that because you haven't logged in yet. It doesn't know who you are. You don't log in until here, when logon. Now it asks you for name and password and you log in. Now it changes from pink to blue. This is user land. These are programs you launched from the start button or a command prompt, and they all run with your permissions, and they are less permissions than you have up here. And userland, you can't easily destroy the machine from userland. Up here, these can crash the machine. They can run in the kernel and kill the machine. These programs, if they crash, don't have direct access to the kernel, so the machine usually continues to run. It just pops up an error message. That's why userland is a safer place to work. And this is where almost all programs that you launch run, down here in userland. So you see here's OneDrive, here's the command prompt I just started, here's Notepad, here's 99.exe, the program I'm running, and then there's Firefox and other things here. So, all right, and so let's see, you can examine 99.exe and you can view the DILs. Let's try that. So if I go here, if I highlight the 99 I just wrote, now there's a lower pane I can turn on. View, show lower pane, and I can control what goes there. There's two options, DILs, handles, and threads. DILs are the easiest to understand, so I'll start with that. And so here it's going to show you, oh, that's interesting, they've added it to a GUI here. But here's the libraries. Yep, kernel32.dil, and I don't know what all this long garbage is. But anyway, here's various DILs and strange extra things. I don't know what these NLS things are, but it shows you all the libraries being used. And notice it's running Windows on Windows because this is a 32-bit Intel program. But I'm running it on a 64-bit ARM machine. Now, running it on a 64-bit Intel machine, it runs what's called Windows on Windows, which is like a virtual machine to run 32-bit code on Windows. And now it's doing, I think, something else, too, to convert from ARM to Intel. So it's running in 2 layers of translation. But it is running, and you can see the various libraries that were used. So you can see all the running processes, and you can see a lot of information about processes. And you can also see the strings. I'm not going to bother. You go to properties of a process. Let me just point out, if you right-click it and go to properties, then you can see a whole lot more about it. And one of the things you can see is the strings. Here's the strings, just like we saw them in that other program, bin text. The strings, and here's the strings of the image on the hard drive, and here's the image in memory. And as you can see, they're pretty much the same, although there are a few little differences there. Because these are actually not readable strings. These just happen to look like strings. They're bytes that just happen to be in order. But anyway, those... Yeah, some part of the code. These should be similar, but they may not perfectly match. All right, and there's a few flags to find here. So that's all I wanted to show you about Process Monitor, or Process Explorer. I always get them confused. Process Explorer is this one that shows you what's currently running on your box. So let me stop this one.